I'm joined today by Chris Camboia. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, how you doing, Selena?
Good. So Chris is a Century 21 real estate agent, does a lot of business here in Woodstock. So Chris, we're going to talk a little bit about some changes with, this situation that we're in right now has obviously changed a little bit of how one goes about purchasing a house or how you go about conducting a tour of a house. You want to talk a little bit about that right now?
For sure. Obviously, with the current situation, we've had to make some adjustments, and I think that's critical at this time, and I'm happy to say our local board, as well as Ontario Real Estate Association and CREA, the Canadian Real Estate Association, put in measures and steps to deal with this essential service the right way. And some of those things are, conducting a lot of the business via what we're doing right now, kind of a virtual tour. There's still elements that allow someone to, and technology that allows us to see some of these properties through virtual tours. A lot of them will be done in case of even open houses happening without people, and people just want the agent walking through the home, the vacant home, practicing all the safe protocols, and able to get that information and a layout of the property, the exterior, the interior, and give buyers a chance to really digest some of the information that maybe during a ramped up market you don't have that opportunity to do. It gives them a real chance to really digest what each home's features and benefits are.
Okay, so I know that a lot of people are maybe a little bit hesitant about listing a house right now or even looking at a house, but I know that you and I have talked about the fact that the housing market really hasn't changed that much.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, and to be frank, is yes, when the world stops, the volume has gone down quite a bit. But what hasn't changed is the actual value of the home and the prices. What we're seeing in the trends and the stats that we're getting from our local board and across Ontario is that the pricing is really solid. And so that need of housing, even during wartime act, there was, shelter, clothing, fuel, housing, those are needs. And so I think that helps perpetuate a solid price that continues to go forward that way. Again, practicing safe protocols all along the way. We're not shopping the buyers around like we normally would at all. But at the same point in time, there are some very good listings out there that we're able to take the right steps, the proper steps, making sure we're safe, and seeing the prices and the sales. Even in the last 2 weeks, there's been a little bit of an uptrend in the pricing, as thankfully projections are not what they once thought. And I see a trend going towards a brighter future for sure, but it's going to take some time. But the big key is that the pricing is very solid. The volume is down, but the price is very solid right now.
So our houses haven't lost any value. Nobody needs to be stressing about that. It's still trending upward like it has been for the last very long time.
Yeah, it's, especially in Ontario and an influx coming from buyers from the GTA and other areas where value is here maybe perceived a little better. Same property, same house, you can purchase for quite a bit less than you would in some of the major urban areas. And we've seen that influx of buyers come in. One of the big things is when the trend goes down in the volume, it allows, as I said earlier, people to really get to know the home or the property they want, and maybe a little more time to decide. But I've talked to some agents just locally here that had competing offers still happen this weekend. I personally had a listing where we've had a couple people come in as a backup offer on a property that already has an accepted offer. So it's still going to continue that way, but pricing definitely has not dropped like people had maybe anticipated. Sales volume off a little, but pricing is definitely staying solid for us.
That's great news. That's really great news for those people that have purchased a property and those people that are maybe holding multiple properties. Now, I know that there's some different programs out there. Some of the banks are helping out with deferred payments, kind of things like that. Do you find that any of that is affecting the rental markets at all?
Two things. I would say the investors right now that own multiple properties or rental properties are seeing, there's been some help from financial institutions and much needed help, during this time, especially the acute stage at the beginning there. But what we are seeing though is many more people are saying, okay, hey, we're able to weather this storm, and we're seeing what's happening now. And just like the weather yesterday, it does a lot of good for people. And just being outside, but the projections are showing in positive trends. It's incumbent upon people to take advantage of those things. In Canada, we have standards and protocols that are much different than the rest of the world. Even in 2008, 2007, when the world was, on the brink of a financial crisis, Canada came out of that relatively unscathed compared to many other spots in the world. So those programs are in place for a reason. From a rental standpoint, it's allowing people to make sure they get on their feet. And then from a financial standpoint, many of our agents, not just at our brokerage, but across Oxford, we're very fortunate to have some great people, some great brokerages where they're passing along that information too. And I think one of the things that we could do that really helps a lot of our own community right here is just be that person that, spreads a little kindness. It might not have a lot to do with real estate, but the other week I was delivering plants and flowers to people just to, maybe drop off something on their step to just put a bright spot in their day, and reaching out to clients and having a chance to talk with them. You forget when you get into these moments that it's still about relationships. And in Oxford, we're really fortunate to have some great agents across brokerages and brands that do a good job of that.
You and I've talked about that a lot, actually, just how to spread some kindness and how to be positive during this time. Everybody's treating this like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to us, but it really isn't.
No, I think we're going to get through it, and I really do believe the positive message is really getting through to people. And it's a choice. It's a daily decision, to make sure that we're being positive about our outlook and approach. And that's not to, rose-colored glasses. It's just the truth, and really lean on, the professionals for what they do. In real estate, I focus on that part and let the doctors do what they do, and the rest of the people. But everyone agrees that being positive, feeding yourself positive, some of the courses we've been doing, I've had a chance to do a lot more courses, and I'm not a big fan of jumping on all the courses, but I've taken some webinars lately, and a common thread message is making sure that we're really reflecting on touching base and being relational about our approach in our business. In real estate is always going to go back to that relationship you have with your client and the market. And I think adding value doesn't always happen just from a real estate stats perspective. It can happen just by being a good, kind person and having a genuine relationship, checking in on our people. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just quickly before we finish up, anybody that's getting prepared to maybe list their property in the fall, this is a really great time for them to get it ready. So what are some things that you would like to see people spending the summer doing?
You can never underestimate curb appeal. I've had a chance to go for a couple of runs, walks, bike rides, and you've seen people do that step on the outside to make sure that their beds and their gardens are up to snuff, and that the lawns are taken care of, that they declutter. That can never be underestimated. And then making sure, tackling a room at a time, or even a floor of a home at a time, to kind of, map out how you're going to look in a few weeks if you're thinking of listing. That always helps, right? To make sure that we're looking at both the exterior and interior of the home. Having many of the real estate professionals touch base with you and just understand that there's some steps you could do to really make your house appear and definitely carry more value that will appeal to a broader market. That's always a positive thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for joining us. And anybody that wants to get in touch with you, how can they reach out?
They could touch base with me. My signs are all over the place. chris.camboy@century21.ca. Feel free to text me at 519-533-2126. And I just wish you guys and everyone else stay safe and keep a positive outlook and take advantage of the good weather when we can.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Okay. Bye-bye.